Welcome. Welcome to the Washington, D.C. Economic Partnership 2026 annual meeting. It is truly a pleasure to see so many dedicated people gather here today. Together, we are committed to shaping the future of Washington, D.C. Before we begin, I would like to recognize some of our distinguished guests. First, Mayor Muriel Bowser. We can hold applause in. Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development, Nina Albert. Chairman Phil Mendelson. We have Councilmember Matt Fewman, Councilmember Anita Bonds, Councilmember Wendell Felder, Councilmember Zachary Parker, Councilmember Brooke Pinto, Councilmember Donnie Crawford, and I believe we will have former Councilmember Kenya McDuffie here as well. So thank you to all of these distinguished guests. I think there might be a quorum, but anyway, we also have some agency directors here that we would like to acknowledge. We have Dr. Unique Morris Hughes from DOES. I see that table. We have Rosemary Suggs Evans with DSLBD. We have LaToya Foster with Office Cable Television, Film, Music, Entertainment. We have Christopher Donald with DCHFA, table 23. And we have DISB Director, my good friend Karima Woods. Karima, thank you. A special thank you to the partnership's incredible board of directors for their dedication and support of our work in the district. And of course, a heartfelt thank you to all our sponsors for making today's events possible, especially our top-level sponsors. Our diamond-level sponsor, Pepco. Is Valencia here? I saw Valencia right here. We have Amazon, Brianna. We have CareFirst, Ricardo. First time here, Ricardo, thanks for coming. We have Link Strategic with Michael. We have Monumental Sports with Christmas, Monumental. We have the Stratus Firm, who is helping us with this program today. We have TD Bank, David. And we have Verizon as our top sponsors. Joe Askew, we want to thank you. And a special welcome to the students from Howard University and George Washington University School of Business. Table 37 in the back. You represent the future of DC's economy. This is your city's economy that we're talking about today. And we're thrilled to have you in this room, learning alongside the leaders building this city. You are the future. 2025 was a year of change. A new federal administration, shifts in the federal workforce that ripple through our economy. And in 2026 will bring even more. This is an election year in the district. And for the first time in over a decade, we're looking at navigating the future without our proven leader, Mayor Muriel Bowser, who has been a champion for DC's growth and the partnership's work. We'll also welcome several new council members this year as well. A lot of change is ahead, but here's what I know. DC is prepared. We're already hard at work, and we're even paving the way for the future. In 2025, we helped create over 671 jobs, leased more than 300,000 square feet of office space. Our active pipeline tells an even stronger story. 273 projects representing over 17,000 jobs, 4.5 million square feet, and more than $600 million in capital investments. Because while the district is a city shaped by politics, we are not defined by politics. We're defined by innovation, by resilience, and by spirit. And by the new economy taking root right here in tech, in AI, and in the businesses that are building the future. Today, you'll hear from leaders on that frontier, companies and innovators who are leading the way for technology, for DC, and for all of us. There's only one DC. And I want to repeat that. There's only one DC. This is the only place where technology meets policy, where it matters. Where you just don't build products, you shape the rules that govern them. When your voice doesn't just get heard, but where it drives real change, that proximity, that access, that influence. You cannot replicate it anywhere else. And while our economy evolves, our city is evolving right along. We're seeing it in the data, more residential conversions, more quality of life projects, more investments in places where people live and gather. That story is told in detail in our newly released 2026 DC Development Report, which you'll find right at your seats. For more than 20 years, the partnership led the way in tracking development and investments across the district. I want to encourage you to take a look or scan the QR code to download a digital copy. Now, I'd like to invite someone to the stage who's been very instrumental in guiding this organization forward. Please join me in welcoming the partnership's co-chair of the board, Mike O'Hare.
Good afternoon, leaders and esteemed guests. Really? Somebody? Come on, I got one person. Come on, let's go. If you want to understand where DC's economy is headed, look at the energy in this room. This is what momentum looks like. And it's a privilege to stand here as co-chair of the partnership's board of directors at a moment when the momentum truly matters. Let me start with a simple truth, and one that Derek knows all too well, and one you'll see reflected in the work ahead. This board is unified, energized, and fully committed to the continued growth of the partnership. Over the past year, we haven't just supported WDCEP's mission, we've strengthened the foundation beneath it. As a civil engineer, I know how to do that. That includes increasing dedicated funding so the partnership has the resources it needs to attract and retain businesses, grow our priority sectors, and position the district as a global hub for innovation and opportunity. We've also taken a clear-eyed look at how we show up in the market and how we can show up stronger. That's why we commissioned a comprehensive marketing study with DCI and C Studios to examine how Washington, D.C. is perceived, where our message can be sharper, and how we can amplify our story to the audiences that matter most. And we partnered with our colleagues at Deloitte on a strategic study assessing our organizational structure, capacity, long-term positioning. This isn't about reinventing the wheel, it's about ensuring that we are built for the future we intend to lead. This is a board that believes in this organization, in this city, and in the work that we are doing together. I'm proud to help lead this effort alongside all of you. And now, I'm pleased to introduce Councilmember Matt Fruman. Since 2023, he has represented Ward 3, including my own family, with dedication and deep commitment to public service. He's a longtime community leader who has championed stronger schools, affordable housing, better transportation, public safety, and environmental sustainability. And now at a pivotal moment for DC's economic future, he steps into a key new role as chairperson overseeing the Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development. Please join me in welcoming Councilmember Fruman.
I mean, I got to say, there's a first time for everything. I've never had a video like that, but thank you very much for that. And that music, it sounded like I was coming out onto the court for a basketball game. It is so great to be here with this group today. The Washington, D.C. Economic Partnership is such an important organization, and the whole concept of partnership, such an important one. The mayor was already acknowledged. I too want to acknowledge the mayor. 12 years of service in this role, her service before. We all owe her a deep debt of gratitude, and she certainly deserves some rest. And she's not going to get any rest right now because this is perhaps the most challenging budget environment that we've faced in an awful long time. And there are folks who think that there are competing interests, that there's the business interest, there's the social safety net interest, there's the human services interest and education. I don't see it that way. I think they are all reinforcing and that we need to be focused on all of those pieces. I have to do that. I am the chair of the Committee on Human Services in the council, and I have oversight over our social safety net. I've spent years as an advocate for education, and now I have oversight over the Deputy Mayor for Economic Development. So we need to make all of those things fire on all cylinders as we balance our way through this upcoming budget. And I've talked about this over the years, but when I have this group in front of me, I want to underscore it again. I have always seen education as a fundamental economic development issue. And one reason for that is part of what's happening in our city is we lose a lot of families as their children approach middle school. And you've seen the data about the numbers of folks who we've lost, who've gotten into income ranges of $150,000 to $200,000, and they're not content with the education that their kids can get here or the security of it, and they move someplace else. If we continue to face a headwind like that, then we're going to undermine our tax base and we won't see the kind of growth that we need to see. So this is part of the way in which I see education as a critical issue for this group. If we want the city to grow, and I want the city to grow, we need to be deeply focused on that. We also need to be deeply focused on what are those things that are going to keep and bring families into the district. We've got a ton to be proud of. Again, it may not seem like a thing for talk in front of a business organization, but our park system is the #1 in the country. We need to stay in that sort of place so that we make this a very, very attractive place for families to come and to live. Similarly, in the social safety net, we're going to face a giant challenge in the next year. We're going to have a whole lot of people who, because of work requirements, are going to lose public benefits. And that can create a public safety issue, and it can create all kinds of issues for all of us. Part of the way we address that is by connecting people to work. And we have not done a great job at connecting people in need to work. And in order to do that, we're going to need bold solutions, and we're going to need the partnership of the business community to make that happen, because if we don't, we're leaving a whole lot of people behind, and we're creating all kinds of challenges for us as a city. So I'd submit, I want to be a partner with all of you on the business agenda. I want to get things through our committee so that we can get things built. I love working closely with the Deputy Mayor for Economic Development. Let's get that done. I started to hear a hand for the Deputy Mayor, maybe one quick hand. But also as we do that, let's keep our eye on the critical things that we need to do to strengthen our city and to keep and attract families to our city, because that is the key path to growth. Let's work together on that. I think I now turn to the council chairman, Phil Mendelson, who is going to have, if the mayor had a whole lot of weight on her shoulders, Phil Mendelson's going to have a whole lot of weight on his shoulders in the next 70 days. Please welcome Phil Mendelson.
I'm Phil Mendelson, Chairman of the Council, and one of my duties as Chairman of the Council is to acknowledge any council members who are present in the room. The challenge with that is that I might miss somebody. Of course, Matt Fruman, a council member from Ward 3, who now chairs in his committee the Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development, which is why he's speaking to you. Also here is at-large Councilmember Donnie Crawford. Ward 7 member Wendell Felder. Ward 2 Council member Brooke Pinto. Ward 6 Council member Charles Allen. And if I missed any colleagues, tough, but please vote with me next time. So I wrote out some remarks, and I decided on my way over here I didn't like them because they go from positive to negative, and I think I should do better by ending on a positive note. So I'm going to talk first about some challenges. I think what Councilmember Fruman said about education is indeed one of our challenges. Because, and I completely agree with him, public education is a long-term economic development strategy. If we get more kids who are achieving academically at the proficient level, and right now it's less than 50%, then we have more future adults who are doing well in education, can go on to college and can get good jobs, and a lot of our social problems go away. So public education, in my view, is an important strategy for the government and also an economic development tool. Another challenge, which I think you all know because we talk about it all the time, is the need to diversify our economy. And, you know, what I hear so often is talk about we need to diversify our economy and promote business activity that leads to good paying jobs. And those are just kind of general statements. I was thinking on my way over here, and I've said this to some folks in the past, we could be doing more with healthcare and expanding healthcare as an industry in this city. We have a number of major hospitals. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. When I left Cleveland, which was many decades ago, the Cleveland Clinic was just that, a clinic, maybe the size of this stage. And now, as some of you know, it is a major industry in Cleveland. And we could do the same thing here with our hospitals, with our proximity to NIH. Insurance, a few years ago, there was a proposal if we could work with Congress to change some laws and make the district a much more attractive place for insurance companies to headquarter their businesses here. IT development, we talked about that a few years ago, actually it was a decade or so ago. The council passed legislation to create tax incentives to attract IT to the city. That's all we did. We didn't do anything more than that. A couple years ago, there was a proposal to help relocate or additionally locate Station 4 at Union Market, which is an incubator for IT. It's been a great success. We need to look at where there already is some energy, and then we as a government support that as a way to diversify our economy rather than just simply talking in generalities. I see that as a challenge. I do want to note, I think the Economic Partnership has done a great job working on business attraction and retention. There's not enough of that going on, and we as a government need to continue to support the partnership. I see Derek staring right at me, as well as, of course, DemPed, because they do a lot of work in that space as well. Another challenge that I would note is congressional interference, and I could go on too long, and I shouldn't do that. I will say this. You know, some people talk about what our ratings are on Wall Street. We had AAA. We got actually nicked down by the one ratings agency to, what is it, a AA plus. What was the reason for that? It was not because of how we are managing our finances. It was because of concern by Wall Street about congressional interference. What the federal government has been doing over the last couple of years is a drag on the district and our ratings. In addition, as you know, last year when the continuing resolution, they froze our access to about $1 billion. That caused over $300 million in cuts, but not lost revenue. They didn't take our revenue. This year, some of you will remember there was the uncertainty over what our income taxes were going to be because of congressional interference. There are numerous bills pending. They would change the way our judges are appointed. They can't even confirm the judicial nominations, and yet they want to take more responsibility in that area, or trying 14-year-olds as adults, or repealing our police accountability law. Over and over, we're seeing these efforts at interference, but the council is working more closely with the mayor and doing more to improve our relations with the members of Congress and to get up there and explain to those who will listen what the harm is and what they're proposing. So I see those as challenges. But if you ask me the state of the district, I would say that it's good. Crime. So a couple years ago, everybody was concerned about crime, number one issue, and it's still, public safety is still very important. But violent crime this year compared to last year is down 12%. Property crime is down 27%. Homicides, we've had 12 homicides in the first quarter of this calendar year. It's a 65% drop compared to last year, which was less than the year before. Over the past decade, violent crime in the District of Columbia is down almost 60%, and property crime is down 33%. Even though Councilmember Fruman and I both talk about public education and we need to do more, the fact is that we have the fastest improving large city public school district in the country. and our revenues. So you're going to hear a lot of talk over the next couple of months about the budget, and the budget will be tight. There's no question that the budget will be tight. We are spending faster than our spending is growing faster than our revenues. Local spending grew almost $1 billion from fiscal year 24 to fiscal year 25, and grew another $400 million between fiscal year 25 and 26. That rate of spending is outgrowing our revenue growth. On the other hand, our revenues are continuing to grow. And so when you hear talk about how our budget is tight and we have to look at cuts, it's in the context of our spending, not in the context of whether our revenues are growing. And if our revenues are growing, it suggests that our economy, even though there are challenges, is pretty healthy. So our revenues for last year came in over $400 million above the budgeted estimate. The Chief Financial Officer estimates that next year, fiscal year 2027, our revenues will grow another 2.6%, and that thereafter will be growing over 3% a year. So the state of the district is healthy. I feel that we spend a lot of time looking at challenges within this healthy environment, and that's a good thing because we can be doing better in many ways, but I would say the state of the district is good. Thank you all.
Each year we come together to honor outstanding economic development achievements and individuals and organizations investing in the future of our city. These awards shine a light on those who are helping drive growth, opportunity, and vitality across the district. This year, we are proud to present 2 Economic Driver of the Year awards recognizing visionary leaders whose work advances the key principles of Mayor Bowser's growth agenda and moves DC forward. Today, I am honored to present the Economic Driver of the Year award for retail to a leader transforming the district's commercial landscape and bringing new energy, experiences, and momentum to our neighborhoods. Through thoughtfully curated retail and strategic activation of key corridors, this team has helped reimagine how residents, workers, and visitors experience our lovely city. Over the past year, they have brought Bar Bazaar to K Street in the Golden Triangle, already a semifinalist for this year's Rammy New Restaurant of the Year, delivered RPM steak and events on Pennsylvania Avenue, which helps energize the critical 7th Street connection between downtown and the National Mall. They're preparing to open Sprouts Farmers Market at the Reservoir District, bring fresh, affordable, organic, and natural groceries to the former McMillan site. Their work is reshaping the district's retail landscape and strengthening the vibrancy of our streets and neighborhoods. It is my pleasure to present this year's Economic Driver of the Year for Retail to Rappaport. Accepting the award on their behalf is Henry Fonville and Bill Dickinson.
For our next Economic Driver of the Year, we recognize a leader in office leasing who is helping anchor institutions and innovative organizations put down roots in Washington, D.C. This firm has been instrumental in securing major commitments that reinforce D.C.'s position as a hub for research, media, and mission-driven work. This year, his team facilitated leases for NPR, Stanford University, and Kellen, each bringing talent, energy, and long-term investment to the district. In a shifting office market, this work matters. It signals confidence, it builds momentum, and it shows that DC remains a place where the ideas, institutions, and impact converge. On behalf of the Washington, D.C. Economic Partnership, I am proud to present the Economic Driver of the Year Award to Cushman and Wakefield.
Everybody take a step forward, everybody. There we go. Smile.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Good afternoon. On behalf of Link Strategic Partners, we're honored to be here with you today to introduce our distinguished mayor. At Link, we're a strategic communications and community engagement firm working every day in and of Washington, D.C., in partnership with so many of you in this room. Like so many of you, we are laser focused on growth, whether it's small business growth, CBE growth, or opportunity growth across the globe. We know that doesn't happen in a vacuum. It takes alignment, it takes partnership, and it takes leadership that is intentional about building an ecosystem where businesses like Link can start, scale, and stay right here in the district. We've seen firsthand how this type of environment can shape companies like ours, from creating space for local firms to thrive, to hire talent from all 8 wards, and to contribute back to the economic fabric of this city. That type of sustained growth does not happen without leadership at the very top of the city that understands both the vision and the execution required to move a city forward, which is why it's our honor to introduce a leader who's been central to shaping that growth in Washington, D.C.
Thank you, Michael, and I appreciate the setup because while the introduction about leadership is real and important for me, it's also personal. And so Mayor Bowser gave me one of my very first real jobs, getting a chance to serve my community in government. And I'll be honest, I was a kid back then running around with braces in my mouth and crazy hairstyles, just trying to figure it out. And I was following the mayor around a lot, and she would ask, why is this kid never in school? But from the very first day I met the mayor, it was clear that her leadership was about one thing. It was about building pathways. Pathways to the middle class, pathways to opportunity, pathways for people to live, work, and play in the district, pathways for local businesses to thrive, and for local firms like ours who have been able to grow, hire, and reinvest here in the district. So when we think about the trajectory of the city over the last decade, the through line connects it all. It's the growth doesn't happen by chance, it happens by purpose. It happens through intentional leadership, and it happens through a clear vision. For the last 12 years, Mayor Bowser has been a steady force in driving our growing economy, focused on business attraction and retention, focused on making sure the district continues to be the best place in the world, the best city in the world. And so as we reflect where DC is and where we're headed, it's only right that we recognize the leadership that has helped shape that journey. Now I would like for you to turn your attention to the screen to feature an amazing video that we helped create for Mayor Bowser.
There's only one Washington, D.C., and for her entire tenure, Mayor Muriel Bowser has been building a city that works for everyone who calls it home. Residents, entrepreneurs, families in every ward, investing in neighborhoods often overlooked, bringing opportunity to all parts of the district. This is what leadership looks like. In 2009, then Councilmember Bowser set her eyes on Walter Reed. Over 100 community meetings, 2 council-approved plans, a negotiated federal land transfer. A few years later, when she became mayor, she carried it to groundbreaking. The parks at Walter Reed now represent 3.1 million square feet, 6,000 jobs, and 2,100 homes, 432 of them affordable. It will generate nearly $1 billion in tax revenue over the next 30 years, all built from the community up. At Buzzard Point, public investment didn't wait for the market. The iconic Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge and a permanent home for the DC United and Washington Spirit transformed an isolated industrial peninsula into a beautiful and bustling waterfront neighborhood. In June 2025, the Stacks opened and brought more than 1,100 homes, 40,000 square feet of retail, and new public green space along the Anacostia. East of the river, the work is most visible and most consequential. At St. Elizabeth's East and Ward 8, Mayor Bowser has methodically transformed the 183-acre historic campus. First, the Care First Arena opened in 2018, bringing a new energy to the area. Sycamore and Oak gave Ward 7 and businesses a place to grow and thrive. And just last year, Cedar Hill Regional Medical Center, a $434 million investment with 136 beds, became the first trauma center east of the river and the first hospital built in the district in over 20 years. Her vision also transformed a historic wholesale hub into one of the district's most dynamic neighborhoods for entrepreneurs and investment. Tech Accelerators, a Michelin-starred restaurant, a creative and culinary identity recognized globally. 25 prime acres in Ward 5 spent nearly 40 years just waiting to realize its potential. But Mayor Bowser moved it to financial closing, broke ground, and in June 2024, cut the ribbon at the new Reservoir Park Recreation Center. The Reservoir District is delivering 2,000 jobs, 600 homes, a full-service grocery store, more than 1 million square feet of healthcare space, and an 8-acre park. For nearly a decade, Mayor Bowser fought to reclaim 180 acres of federally controlled land and return the RFK campus to Ward 7 and the District of Columbia. 180 acres of opportunity that would cement DC's place as the sports capital. In January 2025, she delivered. This is the single largest private investment commitment in DC's history. $2.7 billion from the Washington Commanders. 14,000 construction jobs, 6,000 new homes, more than 15.6 billion in projected direct economic activity over 30 years on the banks of the Anacostia. That's what a decade of resolve delivers. Billions in investment, tens of thousands of jobs, thousands of homes. There's only one DC, and Mayor Bowser has been building it for everyone.
Can we just give that a round of applause? In fact, a standing ovation. It is now my honor to introduce the Mayor of the District of Columbia, Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Well, hello, DC. Greetings, everybody. I want to thank you, Michael, and thank you, Jamal and Link Strategies, for putting that together. Derek, I want to thank you for your leadership here at the partnership. And as you can see, economic development is my jam. I am so proud of the work that we have done together, and I'm even prouder of the team all along these years that have helped me get there. And I just want to spend a moment saying thank you to them and acknowledging them. And I want to start off with Tomas Talamonte, who's right in front. Tomas is my chief of staff. I believe he's the first ever Latino chief of staff in the history of the District of Columbia. I want to acknowledge Lindsay Parker. Lindsay's here. She's my senior advisor. I want to acknowledge the incredible Big Deal team at DMPED, led by Nina Albert, the Deputy Mayor for Economic Development. I think a number of Nina's team in the Economic Development Cluster are also here. Commissioner Karima Woods is here, our DSB director. Director of Small and Local Business, Rosemary Suggs Evans is here. The Director of the Office of Cable, Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment, Latoya Foster is here. Give them a big round of applause. Because these really incredible public servants have learned so much about the district and deliver so much for the district. I wanted to take a moment to thank them. I will add just a couple of things to Phil's remarks because, you know, he stole my line. The state of the district is strong. And the state of the district is strong because of you. We have in this room the talent, the ideas, the persistence, the stick-to-itiveness to get on the other side of any challenges that the economy is presenting. We have the history in the district of getting on the other side of a recession, of multiple simultaneous shocks to our system because of the talent and opportunity that is present in DC. Now, I have, because you have given me a long tenure, experienced all of these different changes with you. So we had what I call the pre-COVID good old days. 6% growth, raging economy, everything happening all at once. We're actually saying no to people because we can't handle it all. Then there was COVID, there was a shutdown, we banded together, we saved lives, we saved businesses. We got a huge amount of federal dollars that were infused that allow us to do even things we thought we couldn't do. And now there are these years. We're solidly post-COVID. We have used all of those federal dollars. We are adjusting to what DOGE has done to our workforce and to our commercial corridors. Again, we're doing it together. So we're not growing at 6% every year, but we're still growing. We're not broke, as I saw one commenter say. We have $4 billion in the bank. And we are still able to invest in the core services that make us strong and make people want to live here. And so, as you have always had, you've had my commitment to telling you what the city needs and making sure we're making that investment so that we can continue to grow. A long while ago, Mayor Williams at the time told me something about tax dollars that has stuck with me. Every tax dollar should invest in getting more tax dollars. And so when we shape this budget, we're looking at how do we grow revenue? How do we attract more people to live here and pay taxes? How do we create more businesses, economic development, and opportunity? And that's where we start building our budget. So we are proud of the things that we've been able to do together. You saw some of my favorite projects. I used to call myself the chief of unsticking projects. And we unstuck a lot of projects together, and we got a lot more going together. I'll be proud to be known as the sports mayor. We built a lot of facilities and delivered, and we get investing even more to the civic pride that comes from great teams and great franchises right here. We've invested a lot in our children. In the last 12 years, we have seen our school-age population increase, graduation records. We've grown in the last 10 years, I think almost 10% in our graduation achievement, and our children are reading and doing math and have recovered faster than their peers in other jurisdictions from those pandemic years. We have put our roads, streets, alleys in a state of good repair, where you see I have this chart that's green, red, and yellow, and it's mostly all green, which means the state of good repair has been achieved, and we keep doing it. I've been proud that in addition to these signature developments, we have invested more per capita in this region in affordable housing than any jurisdiction in America. And as a result, more and more DC residents are living in homes that they can afford. But the work is not done. I'm so, so proud of the team that we will leave in DC government. And while I'm leaving, they're not all leaving. And while you are identifying challenges, I hope that you're communicating to the members of the council. And I'd like to thank and appreciate the members of the council who is here, including your new oversight chair, Matt Fruman. Give him a big round of applause. Matt has one of the best projects in his ward right now, the redevelopment of the Chevy Chase Civic Plaza. That is going to add to Ward 3's part of the solution to affordable housing. Are you with me, Matt? We're going to use our government land to introduce more affordable housing in Ward 3. Let's give Matt some encouragement. Let's get it done, Matt. So Derek, Economic Partnership, Nina Albert, who is amazing. Let this be our charge. We have to attract more employers to Washington, D.C. Are you with me? Let this be our charge. Let this be our charge. We do tech in Washington, D.C. In fact, among the top cities for tech, women entrepreneurs in the country. We do tech here. Let that be our charge. We have some of America's greatest universities right in our borders and almost 100,000 students. Let's make sure they're hiring more DC residents. Let that be our charge. And we know our young people, and I end on this because we've been talking a lot about young people this week. And I want to be clear. Most of the young people in our city do exactly the right things. They do. They go to school. They do what their parents tell them to do. And they are worried about their future. And so all of us have the ability to help a young person get an experience. Use MBSYEP. We'll pay for it. Help a young person get an internship. They will come back to DC and be a great member of your staff one day. And let us remember that young people still want to buy homes. Let's fix our housing market. We have to get back to the days when we were the #1 producer of affordable housing in this region, and we can do it. As Nancy Pelosi says, it's for the children. Thank you, everybody.
And today, I actually get to sit beside a colleague who's also in the tech industry to talk about, open AI. We're going to talk about OpenAI's presence, here in Washington, D.C., and we're going to talk about the impact of AI on our businesses today and the opportunities that it will create for generations to come. But before I do that, I want to say to Chan, it's a real pleasure to be sharing the stage with you. Chan, by way of background, started his professional career here in Washington, D.C. with Aiken Gump. He dedicated his life for 15 years of service in the government, having served with the U.S. District Court of Maryland. He then went on to become the general counsel and the special counsel to two U.S. senators, Senator Patrick Leahy and Senator Dianne Feinstein. He then went into advocacy and was a principal at Monumental Advocacy Group. And then he started working for this very small company called Microsoft, where he was the senior director of congressional affairs. But then he took this huge leap in professional growth and challenge and opportunity. He is now the head of the U.S. and Canada Policy and Partnership Group with OpenAI. And so, Chan, I am so very happy to be, again, sharing this stage with you today. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I am deeply intimidated by this crowd. Nobody told me I was coming up after the mayor, first of all. Nobody told me there'd be 500, 600 people. I guess maybe Kevin told me that. I lied. But it's a pleasure to be here. I joined OpenAI 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago. just a handful of us here in DC. We're now really growing. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but soon to have our own permanent space here in DC. We're very, very proud to be a partner here in DC. Yes. But to do a little pandering to the mayor, and I've already done this in person, we can call her the mayor of resilience, but she is a sports mayor to me. I was telling her that I'm a resident of Maryland right now. I grew up in the area, born in Prince George's County, grew up in Montgomery County, lifelong Washington sports fan, was at the very last game at RFK Stadium, ran onto the field, tore up a piece of turf, planted in my backyard, and sadly lost track of where it was. So when I moved, I couldn't figure out where it was. But I tore up a piece of turf regardless, and now I think it's from RFK Stadium. It's in my backyard. But thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for all you've done, not just for RFK Stadium in that area, but also the Capital One Arena. I grew up with the Capitals, Rod Langway, Dale Hunter, that whole crew back in the day. So anyways, thank you for that. It's a real, real honor and pleasure to be here, and I'm very, very happy that OpenAI is here in DC.
Okay. So look, so we are here to talk about OpenAI, to talk about artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence has undergone a transition from a hype phase to a measurable economic force, driving growth from massive infrastructure investment and productivity gains. AI has also transformed from a novel experiment to an invisible but indispensable part of life for most individuals. Today, AI operates as a proactive partner that plans, remembers, and acts independently across various personal activities. So, OpenAI, as some of you may or may not know, is actually still a very young company. It was established in 2019 and has already contributed immensely to the AI ecosystem. Some of you may know one of their products, and that is ChatGPT, right? But you may not know that within 2.5 years, ChatGPT had over 1 billion subscribers or users. That is absolutely amazing. Most companies aspire to achieve that, but ChatGPT did it in just 2.5 years. Now, ChatGPT is really one of several products I'm sure that they have in their suite of portfolios. So what I wanted to ask Sean, as for our first questions, though, is to ask him about, what is OpenAI as a company, and where does it fit within the AI ecosystem?
Yeah, I appreciate that, and it's funny because I heard a little chuckle when people when you mentioned OpenAI has ChatGPT as a product. You may have heard of it. Honestly, 2.5 years ago, I had to explain to people what ChatGPT was and who OpenAI was, even a year ago. I mean, frankly, it has been a very, very dynamic and interesting ride, if you will, for us at OpenAI to watch the ways in which ChatGPT has really taken hold, and just AI overall. Again, just to go back a little bit, folks in this room have all been using AI for years and years and years. In terms of generative AI, though, which is a different way of developing the technology, that's very new, in the grand scheme of things, but something where I think folks are seeing it really develop and be integrated into their lives. I will, in some ways, not quibble with you on that, Joe, but I honestly think that there are a lot of folks here who still aren't using generative AI in every aspect of their lives. There's a lot of anxiety, a lot of concern, understandably, and I think there's a lot of trust building that still needs to happen, and frankly, a lot of literacy that needs to happen as well, not just in the business community, but across the broader sectors of society. OpenAI is a company. We're a public benefit corporation, but I don't think a lot of people understand or realize that we started as a nonprofit and still are a nonprofit. So the nonprofit, which is now called OpenAI Foundation, was founded about 10 years ago. It still governs the public benefit corporation, which is OpenAI PBC, and that is the sort of the ChatGPT maker, if you will. But because we are still governed by the nonprofit and we're still tied to the nonprofit, our mission statement to build AI, or ensure rather, that AI benefits all people and all of humanity is completely identical and aligned. And that's why when I saw the mayor's AI plan and the values, and one of the first things in there is a principle, making sure if you deploy AI in the city that people benefit from it, right? That's our mission as well, and something that we're deeply committed to is making sure that AI actually helps people, benefits people. It could be in the business context, it could be in a nonprofit context, it could be in an educational context. But regardless, the fundamental tenet there is that it has to help people and in building things or in helping people to improve their lives.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And again, I actually do agree with you that, AI is new to the market, and there's a lot of opportunity to make sure people are, trained and that they're not scared of the tool because it can improve their lives. So there's a lot of excitement about AI, and of course, there's also a bit of uncertainty as well. But it is already proving to increase productivity, improve efficiencies, create more access than what was accessible before as it relates to technology. And so OpenAI is partnering with the Department of Defense. It looks like they're partnering with the state of North Carolina and other educational institutions across the country, trying to help them identify ways in which they can leverage AI to improve service delivery and educational outcomes. So as OpenAI looks at this moment and these opportunities today broadly, how should cities and regions be thinking about the opportunity that AI creates, not just as a technology shift, but as an economic and social shift in the way things get done?
Yeah, I guess what I'd say is, certainly from the enterprise perspective, I know there are a lot of business leaders here today, we don't view AI as a very sector-specific tool that is only applicable in one sector, whether it's the law or education or healthcare, real estate. There are so many different ways that AI can be applied and used in the business context, in the school context. We put out last December a State of Enterprise AI report, and it was based on our engagement with, I think we're at least as of December of last year, we're at over 1 million different business customers that we were working with. Not 1 million users, 1 million different business customers. So based on that data and based on those engagements, we've seen real productivity gains, customer engagement, customer satisfaction, shortening the life cycle or product cycle rather, really the applications in so many different segments of a business, whether it's HR or communications, legal, engineering, product development, so many different ways it can be used. When you ask the question about cities and regions and how we can really build here in DC an AI ecosystem, it's not necessarily something that I think we focus just on one particular sector. I think honestly the opportunity is there for everybody here in the room. It was great. I have to say, the other intimidating part of this room is there's an amazing group of networkers here. I haven't seen this much turbo networking in a long time. It was fantastic to see. But one of the things that I heard a lot about was all the different ways people are using AI. It doesn't have to be ChatGPT, it can be our competitors, but just using AI to make your work more efficient is one thing, sure, but frankly, giving yourself the space and the time to do more creative and thoughtful things that you wanted to be able to do. And back to your question, I think one of the things that we could think about here in DC is how to make sure AI is part of the overall infrastructure. I think you were talking about, doing AI here and tech here in DC as a broader infrastructure, not so much targeted with specific sectors, but making sure that it's part of everything, not everything, but part of so much that we do as businesses, as nonprofits, as community leaders, as government leaders, to make sure that we're leveraging as much as possible.
All right, appreciate that. So there has obviously been conversations about you expanding your presence here in Washington, D.C. I think it was mentioned 14,000 square feet of investment here, and that you're likely going to move or have 30 employees in that space. So I guess the question is, what made this market compelling? And where do you see DC having a unique advantage as this space evolves, particularly at the intersection of technology, policy, and industries that are developing and deploying AI?
Yeah, we're really, really excited to be here in DC. We already have, frankly, way more than 30 employees here in DC. We're likely to have even more than that. We're excited to open up this spring. I think it's already been publicly reported in terms of where we'll be and having actual physical space that we can use as what we call the workshop at OpenAI, and a place where we can gather and learn and help provide educational opportunities there as well. I think when we look at DC in particular, certainly there's always a conversation around this is where the policy is being made. This is where the rules are being shaped. But frankly, even when we look at our team here in DC from OpenAI, the majority of folks are not the policy and government affairs folks. They're not the lawyers. They're actually the engineers and the folks working with businesses and other enterprises, nonprofits, educational institutions to try and help them use the tools. I think that's really the opportunity and the attractiveness of being here in DC, is you have such a cross-section of professional services, of healthcare, of different businesses that are all on the cutting edge of using and implementing AI. The adoption rates, I think, of AI into a business, into enterprises, is something that I think folks will look at, and when you're comparing and looking at different cities and regions. You know, obviously you want to do it with the right guardrails. You want to make sure you have your values in place, that you do it smartly, you do it safely, you do it responsibly. But engaging in that exercise of seeing how you can integrate AI into your workflows or your businesses is really important, because when you look at not just the country, but also across the world, the adoption of AI, or at least the ability of folks to gain some fluency in AI, is really, there's a growing disparity. There was my former company, Microsoft, put out a study, I think January of this year, looking at global diffusion, AI diffusion, so global adoption rates. When you look at the United States compared to other countries, where do folks think the United States would land? Top 5, top 10? It's 23. Wow. 23, or actually H1 of last year is 23, and then it dropped to 24 last year. And that's, again, like those are looking at different data signals and adoption, and certainly within different sectors you're going to have some fluctuation. But it gives you a sense of the fact that it's not just a race to develop the most sophisticated models, right? There is always a conversation about how do we stay ahead in the AI race. It really is a conversation also about how do we make sure that we are not losing the race when it comes to adoption and staying literate in the newest and next technologies. And that's something where when we think about the communities, not just here in DC, but across the country, there are so many folks who can really use AI to access new tools, access new information, access new jobs, access new opportunities. But if you don't have the baseline of literacy to do that, then you're losing out on that educated workforce or the educated communities that can really take advantage of it.
Yeah, thank you. So I know we're a little bit over time, but I know that this is important to you, and that is community, right? So let's, in short, what's OpenAI's vision for being inclusive of the community? How do you see OpenAI engaging with and showing up in local DC market in a real and practical way?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think we're over time because it's my fault for rambling on and on. We honestly, I think that's an evolving thing, because we want to learn. We want to be here in community with you all and with the rest of the city, have our space, open it up, be a workshop where we can learn and also teach what we're doing and what we're working on, find out different ways to engage with the community, but also, frankly, hear from you, not just business leaders, to be honest, but also community leaders and government leaders about what we can be doing, because we see the transformative nature of AI really diffusing throughout all of society, because we see there's so much opportunity, but because we also see that there's sometimes a lack of understanding or just fear or anxiety. We want to be part of the process of building trust and helping to understand not just what the community needs and wants, but also how we can be a partner in really making sure that it works for people and benefits all the people of DC.
Well, look, we certainly appreciate the time on behalf of the Economic Partnership, on behalf of the businesses that are here. They're going to leverage, your technology and follow you in the AI ecosystem. We thank you for participating. We look forward to being a partner in all of this and all that you do. So thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Joe. That was fantastic. And Chan, just wanted to let you know that there will be 600 people here, and you'll be speaking immediately after the mayor. So there you go. That was one of my bullet points that I missed. My name is Kevin Morgan. I'm the Senior Vice President of Tech Sector Attraction and Retention at the DC Economic Partnership. Many thanks to Derek. You throw quite a great party. Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for all of your support, and Mayor Bowser, and council members, and everybody else who showed up. And a special thank you. I also started the grassroots movement called the DC Tech and Venture Coalition, and just wanted to shout out a couple members on the executive team, Michelle Urban and Josh Ghosh. Really appreciate your support. And also Bryant Godfrey of Folio Ag, who has been a great supporter. The reason it was great to have OpenAI, we really wanted to focus in on that and then move into the health innovation panel, which Councilmember Mendelson mentioned our health companies, insurance, and the growth there. Councilmember also mentioned workforce and connections, and so wanted to show not just what we can do, but what we are doing in the foundation we have in the health and innovation sector. So I'm proud to welcome Dipanita Das, who's the co-founder and CEO of Sourcero, which is a data and intelligence company focused on life sciences, which was founded here and scaling here, so that's our innovation company, as well as Dr. Nawar Shara, who fantastic. Your title is amazingly long, so I wrote it down with my Sharpie, and let's see if I can get this correct, but you will correct me. Director of MedStar Health Research Institute Center for Biostatistics and Data Science. And we'll jump into the innovation sector. I wanted to share a personal anecdote. My daughter's 2.5 years old, and when she was born, she had a very serious health condition. We didn't know if she would make it to 18 months. We had many specialists that were involved. She's been in physical therapy now since she was 3 months old. One of the issues we struggle with were so many different inputs from doctors and specialists and advice. And so, Chan, one of the reasons I was very excited to invite you to speak on stage is one of the things I did, and everybody's comfortable or not on sharing your medical information. We were at the end. And so we ran our reports, our genetic studies, through ChatGPT and AI Pro. And we were able to identify trends that individual doctors weren't able to connect the dots. And so we ended up with a series of questions, not direction, not medical advice, but a series of questions to ask each of our specialists, which led us to the right direction. She's 2.5 years old. And I want to say the most beautiful sounds I hear every day after all that she's been through are, "Daddy, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it." So thank you for what you do, because it matters to me and my family, and you can give me the check later. Now I'm gonna hand it over to Dee, and let you all kind of take the show and tell us about the practical application, what's going on in the district, and what this means for growth here. So what are you actually seeing today? What's on the ground in the health innovation, not pilots, not concepts, but what's really going on? And please feel free to introduce your company and explain a little who you are. You are a success story, and we're excited to have you here.
Not embarrassing at all. So before I tell you about Sourcero, I wanted to share a story of my own. My husband and I are caregivers to a family member who has a rather serious cancer with a mutation. And when they were prescribed a targeted therapy, a new modality by their physicians at a great center in DC, it started impacting their liver function negatively. And the doctors were going to take them off it. And that would have reduced their survival by a significant, by like 80%. And we were very worried. And one of the things that Sourcero does is it processes scientific literature at scale across data sources and types and so forth. And so we ran that particular combination through our system and found that there was literally one article, one piece of peer-reviewed journal that spoke to the fact that liver function will go down and then improve logarithmically as long as you don't take them off it. And so here we are, several years later, with a family member that is doing better, that might not even have been around, purely based on accessing scientific literature that is already out there. And when we talk about practical applications of where AI is working today, that's one of the things that Sourcero does. So we are a certified B Corp, which is very exciting. And we support medical affairs and scientific affairs and safety teams in pharma companies to both identify the blockers to the adoption of their drugs that comes from understanding the treatments, understanding the modality, making sure you have enough evidence to prescribe it for your patient, and then to assemble that and share it. And we do it both for physicians as well as for the layperson.
Fantastic, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. It's such a pleasure to be here, and thank you, Mayor, for allowing this opportunity for all us to be in one place. I'm Chief of AI for MedStar Health Research Institute and Georgetown University Medical Center, and what that means is that I am constantly looking to employ technology, including artificial intelligence, to solve problems that we really face in healthcare. Healthcare is one of the most complicated sectors, and I can tell you that there's not enough solutions out there right now for all the problems that we deal with. Having said that, I've been very fortunate to receive funding from the federal government, NIH, PCORI, ARPA-H, and FDA, to identify and address the issues that we face in healthcare. So right now we have many solutions. I will name few and leave others for later as time permits. We were the first, I think, funded study to leverage OpenAI ChatGPT to help GI cancer patients manage their symptoms post-discharge. So right now, we are enrolling from around the DC, Maryland hospitals, including also rural communities in Nebraska, to use these chatbots that is powered by large language models real time, and we are seeing huge successes in the voice and in the words of the patients themselves, telling us that for the first time they feel that they are connected with their healthcare 24/7, they get immediate response, and they feel empowered to manage a very complicated system. In addition to that, we have managed to create opportunities for the most sought after talents in the country to actually move into the city, to move into DC to work with us on the projects that we are funded to do, such as digital twins. We are currently developing digital twins so that we can test in your digital twin things that may have a different trajectory and identify which works best for you before we actually give you that medication or give you that treatment, etc. So I'll stop here and leave the rest for later.
Great, thank you. And just remind, that's all happening in the district. That's right. Right here. Dee, I'd like to, if you could tell us more, what does it look like to actually build and scale an innovation company, a technology company here in DC, and where are you seeing real traction? Where can we also improve and grow, and what are the opportunities?
So it's been an interesting journey because just as we hit our stride, COVID happened, and then suddenly no one wanted to leave their houses at all to go to work. So that complicated matters in terms of growing headcount and having that body of people who come into work every day. But what's really important about growing in DC is the importance of compliance and regulatory. If you see the FDA EMA regulations that just came out, they're non-binding, but they do give you a pathway for how AI can be responsibly developed for life sciences and healthcare. I think being in DC keeps you at the intersection of excellence in research, the healthcare institutions and organizations, the policymakers, as well as the technology talent. And that's really unique. For those of us who are working in highly regulated industries like life sciences and healthcare, it's particularly important to make sure that the systems you architect are in line with what is good for people and what is safe for use. And I find that to be one of the reasons why DC has not only been, but has stayed our headquarters.
Fantastic. Dr. Shah, where are you seeing innovation show up inside health systems? How's it changing care delivery operations? What are the measurable impacts? And the reason I want to frame this question, a lot of times in the district when we talk about business, we talk about simply a profit maximization. The reason I think this in particular is so important is because not only are we building companies, we are benefiting and changing and improving lives for the district. So can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, the transformation that's happening is multifaceted. At the clinician level, we have created a system that really burdened our clinical team. We have physicians who have been burdened by the administrative tasks that they have to do regularly. And what happened, fast forward, is that we see a huge adoption in ambient scribe. If you haven't heard about ambient scribes, this is now something that sits in the office that captures your conversation with your clinician. And so they look you in the eye. We brought back the physicians to the table. We brought back the human touch to the relationship between the clinical team and their patients. So ambient scribe have seen more than 80% adoption in healthcare. So it's one of the tools, the AI powered solutions that have seen much adoption. And so many companies have been created as a result, including what's offered by the big fives. At the patient side, we now have AI powered solutions and technologies that moved from the reactive care to actually proactive, identifying patients who may be at risk for developing a condition down the way and taking action right now. So we have done a study to identify mothers or maternal health who may be at risk of heart disease 52 to 56 days before the onset of cardiovascular risk. 52 days in the pregnancy duration is a significant amount of time to intervene and change the course of action. In addition to that, as I mentioned, in 2017, we submitted a grant that has AI in its title, and people were laughing. They were like, you're never going to get this funded. I got it funded, and we did a study in DC, and we have seen a huge adoption or buy-in from the patients themselves to use chatbots in 2018. And the feedback was that, this is changing their life and it's changing their relationship with their doctors. And fast forward now, we did that as a pilot, and now it's a huge enterprise that we are working on with IEPs involved and startups, potential startups as a result of this technology that we're using in the healthcare.
Great, fantastic. And we'll take a little bit of a pivot here. DC has long been defined by eds, meds, and feds, universities, health systems, government. Where is the advantage? What are our comparative advantages for scaling our innovation economy? The original note said building. It's about scaling what exists, what's it working. You are two examples. And I do want to point out we have two very strong powerhouse women in DC, and to the mayor's point in being a father of a daughter, this is what we have. These are the people and the innovation that's happening, so this is the right place. So how do we scale our innovation economy on top of that foundation? What are the pieces that we need to grow and build upon? Dr. Shah, and then I'll hand it to you, Dee.
So in contrast to what is known in research, we build to scale. Before we seek funding to develop our ideas, we have checked all the boxes, and we have made sure that during the journey of developing a solution, we have to ensure that we are pivoting whenever we see failure, or we can, address issues that come along the way. We're not building to fail quickly. We're building to scale in the future. And so that's what distinguishes what we're doing here in the district. NIH have set, because I'm in research, NIH is kind of like the gold standard of funding. So NIH have set the roadmap of re-engineering the biomedical research in 2010 by engaging with industry partners in leveraging technology and make use of data. And so what happened during these years is that we have started to think differently. We're starting to be entrepreneurs in research so that the ideas don't die. The death valley, as we all know about, is that you do research. It's not just in the lab. That research now has a trajectory of going to market and will have a market value. So a statistic, just to put things in perspective, from NIH's investments in 2024, for every dollar that NIH invested in funding research, the return was $2.50 in economic value. Around 500,000 jobs created around the 50 states. Of that, $95 billion were in economic stimulus. And so there is something to be said about research and how we are addressing that chasm from research to market product in thinking like an entrepreneur and trying to kind of find ways we take these ideas into market.
Fantastic, thank you. Dee?
So I have 2 quick points. I think one is DC as convener, which I think is a really powerful space where you can bring together, whether it's the federal institutions, the research organizations, the pharma companies, the universities, with startups of all sizes, and enable them to discover new utilities and new use cases. That's one of the things about AI is its versatility. And more engagement with these organizations, it will really help come up with new use cases and new problem areas that we can apply this tech to. And I think the second one is incentivizing actually hiring in DC. Having more headcount in DC and incentivizing that would be hugely helpful in the scaling stage.
And how would you see that incentivization for hiring specifically?
I mean, I'm not very good at this, but I mean, there are tax incentives. I know that there's a New York program that I'd heard about, but that would be a really important one. I mean, for the folks we hire, they're really highly paid. It would be great if we can have more of them here, and we're incentivized to bring in more very highly paid professionals in DC.
Fantastic. So we're going to close. We're going to end here. So one key takeaway, and we'll wrap up.
Yeah.
Very quickly. I'm looking at the red light on the clock.
Yeah, no, I think the district is a huge opportunity for investments in AI solutions or in technology in general. We have been focusing on translating findings into the translational science. In my world, is that take what you have developed in the bench to policy, and there's no better place than being in the district to do that.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dee. Take us home.
Similar. I would say that you have to build AI safely, responsibly, with high ROI, which means you're going to want to bring together great policy with thoughtful entrepreneurs and real use cases, and DC presents a beautiful place to do that.
Great closing. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Derek, for the opportunity.